Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat with Girija. This is your legal BFF, Girija Patel. Thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful for every single one of you for tuning in and listening, because this is what Law Chat is about. It's a place for you to be inspired, a place for you to gain some more wisdom and knowledge about your industry, but a place also where you can receive mentorship through storytelling. Thank you so much. Now, I know that before we walk into this next episode, whether you're tuning in through your iTunes or through other form of a podcast, or whether this is on YouTube, I would love for you to share this information with someone else, somebody who is your friend, your family, a colleague, somebody in your community, someone who can really be inspired by this as well and benefit from the information and from the stories that we're sharing with you today. Law Chat is to help the community, is to boost the community, is to inspire the community. And I want you to help me to do that. So thank you so much for that. Let's get started. Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat. I am your legal BFF, Girija Patel. I am really excited to be with you here today. Why? Because today I am sharing some insider tips on what are some of the first questions you should be asking when you're about to hire a lawyer. A lot of times we want a lawyer, we just don't know where to begin. We also don't know what questions to ask, and sometimes it can feel very daunting. So it's like going to the doctor's office and not knowing sometimes which one you're supposed to go to. So here are some easy, quick questions that you can ask to make sure that you're hiring the right person for you and the right fit for you, and also you can filter it out. And there's no shame in the game of asking and talking to a few lawyers out there to make sure that you are really choosing the right person, the right fit for you and your business. But before I begin, the information that I am sharing with you today is for educational and informational purposes only. It is extremely generic in nature. And if you are seeking professional legal advice or any other professional advice, please go and reach out to a professional in your neighborhood. Okay, let's get started. So, what are the first few questions that you're going to be asking when you're about to hire your lawyer? Now, whether you are a first-time lawyer hire or whether you have hired many attorneys in the past, there's always some questions that you need to ask. Number one is go to their website or go to the state bar of your state and check them out a little bit and see what type of, resources they provide, what kind of law they practice, and if there's been any issues with their bar standing. And generally that's not a problem, but just go and you can go confirm all of that. But go to their website and do a little research on them and to make sure that they actually provide the services that you need help in. Now, you cannot go to a cardiologist for a foot pain, right? Like you would go to an orthopedic or a podiatrist to get your foot fixed or to look at the foot and see where the problem is. And so similarly, not all lawyers can help you with every single issue that's out there. So if you go to a bankruptcy attorney for something that is with family law, that's going to be a problem because they probably might have working knowledge, but they don't have enough knowledge to really help you and walk with you step by step. And so go and check it out and see what kind of law they practice and if it's something that is truly aligning with what you are wanting for the purposes that you're trying to hire a lawyer for. So once you've done the research on them and you kind of have a little knowledge about who they are and what they are, you should go set up an appointment with your lawyer. And so it's okay to have multiple lawyers that you're setting up an appointment with, and they're just discovery calls to see if it's a good fit. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't think it is embarrassing because lawyers know you're doing it also, so it's not a big deal. Now, when you've set up that discovery call, sometimes you're going to have to pay for it depending on the lawyer, or sometimes it's a free consultation. Either way, have your questions ready. Either way, have a knowledge of what the problem is and how you want to see what outcome that you might want to see. The real outcome may not be exactly what you want, but at least have a working knowledge of what kind of outcome you would love to see. So when you have those things written out for you, it's easier because generally those discovery calls are limited in nature and they're anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, generally not any longer than that. And so there's a lot of information to pack up in that small amount of time. So some of the questions that you might want to ask is, number one is, what kind of law do you practice? Simple, right off the bat, and they should be able to respond to that. Number two, you can actually talk about, well, this is the issue that I'm encountering. How many times have you worked on an issue like this, and what was your success rate, or what was the outcome? Was it a good outcome? Was it a negative outcome? Now, of course, if you're going to transactional lawyers, such as me, or if you're going to litigation lawyers, then those are a bit different outcomes that you might be getting. But either way, you can talk about the experience with them, and you can talk about the client journey with them also, which kind of takes me to the next question. How does it look like working with you? And then also you can ask them other questions such as, well, if I have a question, or if there is something that is troubling me, how do I contact you and how do I communicate with you? So when you ask them, how do we communicate? How do I contact you? You're able to also realize and understand if it's a good fit in general in a working environment with your lawyer. Because at the end of the day, yes, a lawyer is somebody that you're hiring their expertise for in a certain area. And sometimes, and a lot of times, people look up to them and give them some deference, right? Just because of the nature of the profession and the industry itself. However, at the end of the day, your lawyer is working side by side with you, and they are trying to get you to the place that you are happy to be in. Now, always remember that a happy place may not be your perfect solution, especially when you are in contentious situations with others. And so a happy place might be just a happy compromise where nobody's leaving 100, but they're leaving with something at the end of the day. And even when you're negotiating contracts, it's the same thing. You may not walk out with everything that you wanted, but you are walking out with absolutely your non-negotiables being non-negotiables in the sense that you are 100% okay with all of them. And then maybe a couple extra things that have been added on where you're now like, okay, this works best for me. So always remember that when you're hiring a lawyer, have those conversations with them and see where that vibe is actually fitting, right? The energies that are between you and them when you're talking. How are they talking to you? How are they connecting with you? And they might be the nicest person on this planet, but if that connection is not there, it's going to be tough to have future conversations, especially when legal issues become very emotional in nature. And sometimes those questions can be because you just don't know the answers, and it is what it is. But you want to have somebody who can actually answer them in a way where you feel comfortable, you feel secure, and you feel like you're in an environment that is friendly and cordial, and not where somebody might be talking down to you or you're feeling uncomfortable, because that's not where you want to be. You want to be comfortable. I always tell my clients, or even when I'm doing a potential new client call with somebody, my first call, you know, they're telling me that I have already talked to others. I'm like, great, I'm so happy you've done that. Because when you do that, when you talk to 3, 4, 5 people, you also kind of get an understanding of the kind of relationship that you want with a lawyer. And you can only get that when you talk to them for the first time and have that conversation. And so always pick someone that you're feeling comfortable with, but also somebody that you feel has the knowledge and the ability to help you and fight for you zealously, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be doing that. And for somebody who is looking out for your best interest, because that is what matters, is your best interest. Another thing to think about is if you are going into a relationship with somebody else and you are like a business relationship with somebody else, and you're working on some business documents or preparations between you and that person, and you're hiring a lawyer to do that, just, you know, make sure that both sides are comfortable with it, and also know that who is the lawyer representing at the end of the day? Who is the client? A lot of times, when I'm representing businesses, and yes, I'm talking to their owners, but at the end of the day, I'm representing the business, not the owner per se. Very important to know who your attorney is representing in those conversations and in the strategy making time, and, you know, just looking out, who are you looking out for? And so have those perspectives in check when you are asking those questions. Other questions that you might want to consider also is, what is your payment methods, or what are some, you know, service models that you might have? Now, I do flat fees for the most part. I do have a subscription-based model now as well, but a lot of lawyers don't have that. And so a lot of lawyers are doing the very traditional retainer system, or the very traditional, we're going to take this much percentage if XYZ happens. And so be okay with the payment model and also the service model that you're getting, and if it aligns with the way your business is running and the exact things that you need in your business. Because that discovery call should kind of talk about all the different things that you might need in your business. And then the ultimate, this is how much the lawyer fees are going to be, should be part of that consideration as well, like all the different things that are on that to-do list of yours. Another question to ask your lawyer is the turnaround time. What is their time frame on completing this job or completing the task on board? Or even if it's something that's out of your control, how long will it take on average? And what is the expectation? A lot of times you can get a general idea of how long something can take, especially depending on the docket and how busy that docket is for them. Now, the docket could be, the cases that they're taking care of, or it could also just be the client docket that they have on their table. And so having that question posed is very important also, depending on the urgency of you completing your job. I do encourage you though, not to go to a lawyer to create a contract when you need that contract like the next week, because that's really tough. And you want to have enough time to go back and forth with your attorney to confirm that everything in the contract is aligned with the way your business runs and also aligned with what your expectations were in that contract. And so it's really important that you are not running through it and you are actually reading it and you're understanding your contract, because it's very important to be able to effectively communicate the contracts you are sharing with others across the business table. Because if you can't, they're not going to have confidence in your contract either. And so when you are in that situation, give time for that contract to be created for the purposes that you're creating it for. Doing anything haphazardly doesn't always result in amazing, excellent results, right? So give time to yourself and give time to your lawyer also to finish that work, and to also have time to go back and forth and do edits and reviews and all the things that you need to get done.
I hate to interrupt this awesome conversation, but I have to stop and talk with you about the number one thing I'm asked about by entrepreneurs: contracts. They're vital to any business relationship and to protect your business. But I also know that entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting up, money is tight. But I would never want you to compromise on a strong legal foundation. So enter yourcontractbuddy.com, a website created by me with contract templates created and drafted by me and fellow industry partners. They're ready to use and easy to plug in immediately. And they are not restricted to any specific state. So yourcontractbuddy.com is sponsoring this episode, and you and your listener can get 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. Yes, you heard me right. 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. And now, back to our awesome conversation.
Some other questions you might want to ask is, of course, going back to the experience that they might have with that certain type of situation or the task that you are asking them to do. And of course, to kind of talk to you about their experience for whatever details they can talk about, because there's a lot of details you can't share as a lawyer because of attorney-client privilege. Other things to think about also is, who is going to handle my case? Now, if you're going into a law firm that has multiple lawyers, that's a really important question to ask. Like, who is going to handle the case? Is it going to be the principal attorney in the law firm, or is it going to be an associate, or like who's handling all of this stuff? And so you can request, you can also find out what their processes are in the law firm and find out if that's something that fits you and suits you as well. Another question that you can ask and is important is also, what is your role in the entire process? Are you just going to sit back and watch the show, or is there an active role that you need to play? And so ask your lawyer that. Now, for me, I like to have my clients engaged in what I'm doing. So we talk, I get what we need to do, I finish the work product, I give it to them, and then at that point, I have them engaged with me, because I really, really find it very important for my clients to walk through the contracts that I'm creating for them, or walk through the process and understand why we're doing what we're doing and what are we doing. So it's really important that you understand your role. Now, if you're going to have litigation, then understand the role in the litigation as well. And of course, you don't want to be super hands-on, and no lawyer wants you to be super hands-on either, but you need to be available when they need you, because it is generally very instrumental for your presence and your support at that time. There's a couple things that I would like to remind you that when you are talking to a lawyer, the first time discovery call, there has been no contract signed between you and your attorney yet where they're saying that they're representing you, is number one, there's no attorney-client privilege at that time. Your initial conversations are not protected by privilege, so be thoughtful about what you are sharing. If there's something that you do not want to share with your attorney, then don't, because at that point in time, nothing is considered attorney-client privilege. Number two is that give time to yourself and give time to your lawyer to finish the work that you're asking them to do. Number three is don't get so stuck on a certain result, even if you're going to court, especially if you're going to court, actually, especially if you're in litigation, but even if you are doing transactional work, because at the end of the day, ultimately, attorneys should not be guaranteeing you any type of results or any type of outcomes. They can give you a general, this is what we've seen in the past, but there's nothing that we as attorneys can say, yes, this is going to be how it's going to be. Of course, there's a lot of things that are black and white, and 99% of the time it'll probably happen that way, but we just cannot give you guarantees. So if you do have attorneys giving you guarantees, I would be a little weary of that, and I would be thinking a little bit on the why they're doing that and maybe step back a little bit and think about it. Now, giving comfort is one thing, but giving a guarantee is another thing. Giving comfort is important because a lot of times my clients are looking to me for that expertise, but also for that comfort. And so that's what I provide in my service as well, is a don't worry, we'll figure this out, not a don't worry, it's going to be XYZ, because I can't promise that. I can't guarantee that either. I will do my best, but we just cannot guarantee it. I hope this was super helpful to you. I know that this was a lot of information packed into this video, but again, these are questions that you can absolutely ask your attorney initially in the first conversation that you have with them. And then also just have your expectations handled as well, because that's why I wanted to share this stuff with you too, because a lot of times we go into these appointments and we go into these situations thinking, okay, this is going to be the answer to everything. And it just may not be, but it definitely will be somebody who can walk with you, talk with you, and guide you. And so again, ultimately, the person that you are picking should be somebody that aligns with your values and your business, aligns with how you are doing business, and also just is a good fit for you, energy-wise, vibe-wise, whatever wise you want. I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Law Chat. I hope this was super beneficial to you. I really enjoyed sharing this information with you today. And I have to ask you for a favor. Like I did in the beginning, I'm going to ask you again, please share this with your community, whether it's a friend, family, or another colleague, or someone else on your Facebook or Instagram or other social media spot. Share this, subscribe, and stay tuned for other episodes coming in so you are always up to date. But then also take another moment and share this episode with your community, because when you share it with everybody else, not only are they benefiting, but also the information that I'm sharing is reaching out to more people, because at the end of the day, we want to rise together with our community, and I can only do that with your help. Now, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you tuned in, and I want to hear from you as well. So shoot me a DM on Instagram at GVP Law or at Law Chat with Girija. I would love to hear from you. I would love to also hear what other episodes that you would like to hear about, topics that you want to hear about, and also just connect with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.